Today, we're really getting into something I think can fundamentally shift how you approach directing. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's not abstract theory we're talking about here. It's about unlocking something, well, profound, something tangible, right at the heart of truly captivating performance. So our mission today really is to dig into the core principle that powerful acting really hinges on. We're talking about the objective. It's about forging raw, undeniable truth on screen.
That's exactly right. The performances that truly floor you, the ones that stick with you, they don't come from actors just trying to imitate an emotion. No, they explode from a place of deep psychological clarity. An actor who gets precisely what their character demands in a scene, and this is crucial what they're willing to do to get it. Well, they'll always outshine someone just playing sad or playing angry. Always.
Because life isn't just about feeling things, is it?
Exactly. Life unfolds in actions. Real human life. People don't cry just to cry. They cry to make someone stay. Or maybe to dodge shame, or to grab back some control they feel they've lost. Think of it like this. Emotions. They're just the fuel. Important fuel, yes, but fuel nonetheless. The objective, however, that's the engine. The unyielding engine driving all action forward.
So the director's job isn't just getting the actor to feel something.
No, your ultimate responsibility, if you want to achieve mastery in this, isn't just helping them feel, it's empowering them to fight. That means you have to relentlessly track what's truly at stake for their character in every single moment. Who holds the power? How does it shift? How does behavior change under that intense pressure? When you, as the director, can guide this excavation with real skill, something changes. Your actors stop. Well, they stop just playing scenes. Instead, they start relentlessly pursuing something vital. Something absolutely indispensable to their character's survival, psychologically speaking.
That feels like a much more active, dynamic way to think about directing performance. More human, as you said.
It is fundamentally more human. And this path, this process of directing with objectives, it takes us right to the bedrock of believable performance. Which brings us to the overall objective and the scene objective. Now, these aren't just abstract ideas to chat about in rehearsal. No, they are the spine, the architecture, really, of a character's emotional map and their behavioral compass.
Okay, so this is the core framework.
It is. And by the end of our conversation today, you'll have, I believe, the surgical precision needed. You'll be able to spot vague intentions immediately. You'll know how to refine tactical pursuits. You'll guide performances that pulse with genuine emotional urgency and, crucially, strategic action. And understand this. Every single element of your craft blocking, shot composition, even how you structure rehearsals, must inherently serve this story of relentless pursuit. It all has to connect. All right, let's get to work.
Okay, that immediately clarifies such a core distinction. It's not about the actor simply being emotional, but about what they do with that emotion. Transforming it into an active pursuit. That feels like a real fundamental shift. So could you maybe elaborate a bit more on how these two objectives, the overall and the scene objective, how they differ and why that difference is so critical for us as directors?
Yes, absolutely. The distinction is vital. See, the core of any truly powerful performance is the fight. It's always about the fight. What does the character need to win? Not just in this specific scene, but across the entire canvas of their life. That's your focus. Your supreme task as the director is helping your actor nail these profound needs with absolute clarity, anchoring them relentlessly in that pursuit, moment by moment. Often agonizing moments.
And what happens if they don't have that anchor?
Well, if an actor operates without that deep understanding of what they're fighting to win, they inevitably fall back on what I call emotional decoration. They'll say, oh, okay, I'm meant to be sad here. Right, this is the big anger moment. They play the result of the emotion.
Right, they show the sadness rather than fighting for something through the sadness.
Precisely. They're showing instead of doing. And your role, your intervention, is to interrupt that kind of thinking, to wrench them back to the raw immediacy of the battle. What are they fighting for right now?
So let's define these two critical concepts with precision. And keep in mind, they must always be active, specific, and rooted in behavior. First, the overall objective. Think of this as the soul-level goal. It's the primal, foundational hunger driving the character's entire journey, their whole arc. It's not intellectual. It's visceral, gut level.
Some deep down.
Deep down, exactly. And it's almost always tied to fundamental human needs. Love, Worth, control, power, safety, redemption. Something the character feels they've never truly had, and they are desperately, agonizingly trying to earn it or seize it or reclaim it. This becomes the emotional engine powering every tactic, every decision, every risk they take throughout the entire story.
So it has to be really specific then, not just wants love. A powerful overall objective must be personal, primal, and specific. You hit it right there. Consider the contrast. To be loved, it's vague, isn't it? It offers no tangible fight. It's a wish, a desire, not a battle cry. But to finally matter in the eyes of someone who never truly saw me, now that feels different. That's personal. It's rooted in a specific emotional wound, maybe from a parent who is dismissive or a relationship that made them feel invisible.
Ah, okay. So it gives the actor something concrete to draw on.
An immense reservoir of fuel for behavior. It's not generic love. It's about healing a very specific historical wound. The more crystalline, the more emotionally charged this objective is, the more visceral and compelling the performance becomes. And this objective must connect directly to the character's past. What trauma, what unresolved relationship keeps this need alive, festering, demanding resolution? When that overall objective hits the actor in the gut, when it's truly felt, not just understood intellectually, well, performance becomes inevitable. It stops being forced. It becomes a matter of psychological life or death for that character.
Okay, that's the big picture, the lifelong war, as you put it. What about the scene objective then? How does that fit in?
Right. So second, we have the scene objective. You need to understand every single scene is a smaller battle. A skirmish being waged within that larger war of the overall objective. And in every single one of these battles, something of immense value is at stake. A win could dramatically shift the power dynamic, push them closer to that overall objective. A loss could brutally reinforce their deepest, most paralyzing fear.
So the stakes have to be high in every scene.
Profoundly urgent. The scene objective must feel like something the character absolutely needs right now. In this exact pressurized moment, not vaguely sometime later. It has to feel emotionally non-negotiable. If they fail here, now the physical world might not end, no. But something fundamental inside them will. Maybe their hope, maybe their pride, their identity, their self-worth could shatter.
Wow. So these are the building blocks.
Critical building blocks. They are the tactical steps, the intricate maneuvers the character uses to inch closer to, or sometimes, tragically, further away from their grander overall objective. Without this pulsing urgency in the scene, it just goes flat, lifeless, static. But when that scene objective is truly alive, truly fought for, the performance throbs. There's tension, danger, unstoppable emotional movement.
Can you give us an example, maybe connecting the two directly?
Yes, let's make it concrete, visceral. Imagine a character whose overall objective is to feel worthy of love. Now, describe this not just as a wish, but as a lifelong gnawing hunger. Maybe it was forged by past abandonment or maybe chronic invisibility throughout their childhood. This character doesn't just want love, they crave irrefutable proof they deserve it. Proof they aren't fundamentally broken or disposable. Every significant choice they make, often unconsciously, is filtered through this deep, pervasive need.
Okay, I get the overall objective. Deep-seated need for worthiness.
Right. Now, let's drop into a specific scene. Let's say the scene objective is to get this person to stay the night so I don't feel abandoned again. See the connection. In this precise moment, the character is locked in a desperate struggle. They're fighting tooth and nail to prevent that familiar, crushing ache of emotional rejection from happening again.
So it's not just about sex or companionship.
Not at all. It's profoundly about validation. If this person leaves, it confirms their deepest fear. They are fundamentally unlovable. Therefore, they will fight with everything they have. They might seduce, whispering promises. They might negotiate using desperate logic. They might wield guilt like a bludgeon. They might charm with practiced ease, whatever it takes to win this specific battle. And this immediate, visceral fight connects directly back to that greater lifelong war they're waging to finally feel like they truly matter.
Ah, I see. The small baddie serves the larger war.
Exactly. That's how the tactical moment-to-moment choices are inextricably linked to the character's deepest primal needs. They are two sides of the same coin. The long-term hunger and the immediate skirmish to satisfy it, or at least not have it denied right now.
That's such a powerful illustration. Really shows how those everyday struggles in a scene connect right back to those profound, driving, almost existential need. So, okay, with that framework in mind, how do we as directors actively work with this? How do we sculpt the performance around that deep, soul-level overall objective when we're actually on set? How does that internal life show up in the frame?
Right. This is where your command as a director becomes precise, actionable. You become an archaeologist of the human soul, digging for the deepest truths that drive behavior. First, your primary task: uncover the void. You must relentlessly ask your actor and yourself, what profound void is this character desperately trying to fill? What's the unhealed wound they carry everywhere?
Pushing past just the plot points.
Way past plot logic. You need to tap into the primal, aching need. What is fundamentally missing from their life that they're striving to reclaim or mend or maybe even just prove exists. You're hunting for that deeply rooted wound, that unmet need from their past, maybe a parent's withheld approval, a childhood betrayal that shattered their trust, a crushing failure they never recovered from, something specific that continues to drive every choice they make.
So you need to connect it to something specific in their past.
Absolutely. Direct them to identify a specific, unresolved past event that feeds this hunger. If the overall objective is, say, to feel worthy, help the actor pinpoint the first time they remember feeling truly unworthy. That specific memory, that becomes the rocket fuel.
Okay, find the void, connect it to the past fuel. What's next?
Second, chart the emotional fuel. You guide your actors to connect the script's structure directly to that emotional fuel you just identified. Challenge them. Where does each pivotal scene deeply satisfy this core need? And conversely, where does it brutally threaten it? Help them meticulously chart how this relentless pursuit escalates or de-escalates across the entire narrative arc.
Like mapping their internal journey scene by scene.
Precisely. Imagine a graph. The y-axis is their proximity to achieving their overall objective, feeling worthy, gaining control, whatever it is. The x-axis is the scene number. Scene 3, they get a tantalizing glimpse of it. Scene 7, it's ripped away brutally. Scene 12, they're desperate, fighting harder than ever to reclaim it. It's about understanding their internal journey as a series of profound gains and devastating losses, pushing them closer or further from that ultimate soul-level aim. Every significant beat, every turning point in the script should be marked by its impact on this overarching battle.
Got it. So map the journey against the core need.
And third, this is critical for you as the visual storyteller. Frame the fight, not the feeling. You must use the overall objective as your unyielding compass for every aspect of your direction. Your shot design, your pacing, how you amplify tension, everything. When you're blocking a confrontation or meticulously designing your coverage, constantly ask yourself, whose need is stronger right now? Whose strategy is shifting in this exact moment? What is the actual fight being waged here underneath the dialogue?
So the camera work should reflect the struggle.
Always frame the fight, never simply the feeling. Your camera, your rhythm, your entire mise-en-scène should be framing the battle, not just showing an actor looking sad or angry. For instance, if a character's fighting to be seen as powerful, maybe you use a low-angle shot. Position the camera slightly below them, visually empowering them as they assert their will.
Right, making them look dominant.
Exactly. Conversely, if their power is crumbling, maybe a high-angle shot looking down, or even a Dutch tilt, can convey that diminishing control, that fractured reality. Pacing reflects urgency. Rapid cuts if they're desperately trying to achieve something, or a long, agonizing take when they realize the fight might be lost. Use lighting. Does it isolate them? Does it reveal a moment of clarity about their objective? Every element is a brushstroke depicting the ongoing war for their soul.
So the visual language directly supports the internal battle.
The outcome is transformative when you do this. When that profound, driving need is made visible not just in the actor's performance, but in the rhythm, the spatial dynamics, the unwavering focus of your direction, the whole story pulses with undeniable urgency. Emotional continuity then emerges naturally, not from some superficial intent to just match energy between takes.
Which never quite works.
Never. It emerges from relentlessly tracking that singular force, the primal human drive to survive and win. Every tactic becomes strategic. Every pause, a vital recalibration. Every breakdown, a moment of profound risk. This isn't just powerful acting we're talking about. This is storytelling with teeth, where the character's soul-level hunger is palpable, even in the quietest moments.
That's incredibly insightful, making the internal struggle visible through the directing choices. Okay, so that's the powerful overall objective, connecting everything back to that deep primal need. Now, how do we translate that profound hunger into the immediate stuff, the tactical moment-to-moment choices within a specific scene? How do we make that urgency really land in every line, every action?
Right. Now we zoom in. This is where we focus on directing the scene objective with surgical precision. This demands immediate, actionable behavior. If the overall objective is the war, the scene objective is the specific, immediate battle, the one that must be won right now. First, you must demand specificity. Ask your actor with unwavering precision. What does your character need from the other character in this precise moment? Not want, need. What is the single most urgent thing they must achieve right now?
And no vague answers.
Under no circumstances settle for generalities. Things like to be happy or to talk, useless, demand granularity. Is it raw attention from a partner who's zoning out? Is it absolute forgiveness from someone they've wronged? Is it undeniable power over a subordinate who's pushing back? What are they truly desperately starving for in this immediate context? It's not about vague desires, it's about what they must achieve in this exact high-pressure moment to move one tiny step closer to their overall objective.
Give me an example of that specificity.
Okay. Instead of to understand what happened, which is passive, make it active. To get them to confess everything right now.
Yeah.
C, specific, actionable, creates immediate conflict.
Got it. Make it concrete and urgent. What's next for the scene objective?
Second, activate with tactical verbs. You have to guide your actors to abandon passive objectives. Those lead to internalized, inert performances. Objectives like to understand, to express, to explore, they provide no clear action.
They describe a state, not a pursuit.
Exactly. They describe an internal state, not an external pursuit. Instead, you propel them forcefully toward robust tactical verbs. Verbs that imply a direct action upon the scene partner. Think, to seduce, to guilt, to dominate, to disarm, to accuse, to plead, to intimidate, to challenge, to provoke, to manipulate.
Those all feel much more active.
Because they are. Each one gives the actor a clear, active behavior to play, not just a feeling to emulate. These verbs are the direct instruction manual for how the character does something to their scene partner to achieve their objective. If a character is trying to get someone to stay, their tactical verbs might shift rapidly. First to charm, then maybe to beg, and if that fails, perhaps to threaten or even to shame.
Okay, so specific need, active verbs. What about physically?
Third, blocking as pursuit. This is critical. You must emphasize shaping your blocking around the character's relentless pursuit of their scene objective. Let the actor's very body mirror their strategic intent. Where do they lean in? To assert power. To demand closeness. Where do they retreat? To regain precarious control. To manipulate the space.
The movement tells the story of the tactics.
Precisely. You use movement to visually articulate the scene's pressure points, and crucially, if the objective shifts mid-scene, or if a tactic fails spectacularly.
The blocking has to shift too.
The very shape of the space between the characters must also shift. It has to reflect the dynamic nature of the human fight. Every step, every gesture, every physical choice becomes a deliberate tactic in their desperate battle. Imagine a scene. Objective is to get the other person to sign the contract. Initially, they might advance, physically closing the distance, trying to dominate the space. If that fails, maybe they retreat, creating distance to disarm through feigned vulnerability. Or they strategically move to a position of perceived weakness to guilt the other party into signing. The movement itself is the story of the pursuit.
Wow, that connects everything.
And remember the consequence. Without that pulsing urgency from a specific, actively pursued scene objective, the scene is dead on arrival. Static, lifeless. But when that objective is truly alive, when the actor is fighting for something non-negotiable, the performance throbs. You feel the tension, the danger, the unstoppable emotional movement. The audience isn't just watching then. They're viscerally experiencing the urgency, sensing the profound stakes in every breath, every move.
That's invaluable, connecting the physical movement directly to the character's internal fight. It makes so much sense. But, it's one thing to understand these concepts, and it's another to actually communicate them effectively, especially in the heat of a rehearsal or right there on set. What's fascinating here, I think, is how the specific questions we ask can completely reframe a scene, giving the actor something immediate and powerful to work with.
Indeed. You're absolutely right. A director doesn't always need to issue a declarative note like, do this. Sometimes the most potent tool you have is simply asking the right question. Because the right question doesn't just clarify, it activates. It radically shifts an actor's focus from passive feeling to aggressive doing, from a desired result to an unwavering pursuit. The questions we're about to discuss are meticulously designed. They deepen an actor's understanding of their objective, yes, but more importantly, they sharpen the very tactics they're using to seize what they need.
Okay, so what are some of these activating questions?
All right, here are some essential ones to have in your arsenal on set. First, ask them, what happens to your character if they don't get this? Right now, in this scene, push them. Push them to articulate the profound emotional or psychological damage they'll carry forward if they fail here. What deeply ingrained belief about themselves will this failure irrevocably reinforce?
So, raising the immediate stakes.
Instantly. If they fail to get that confession, do they believe they'll forever be seen as naive? That they can never trust anyone again? This makes the objective non-negotiable and injects real urgency into their choices.
Okay, what else?
Next, what are you trying to do to the other person in this scene? This reframes their focus completely away from their own internal feelings, demands specifics. What are you actively trying to make them feel, or think, or do? Are you trying to make them feel ashamed, to confess, to cower in fear, to laugh despite themselves? Demand that specificity. It's about external actionable influence, not just internal processing.
Gives them a target.
Exactly. An external target to play against. It forces interaction. Then try this. Is this tactic working, or is it time to switch strategies? This prompts them to assess the evidence. What are they getting back from their scene partner right now? Is the pleading working, or are they hitting a brick wall? Does the character need to escalate, retreat, radically reframe their approach?
Makes them responsive in the moment.
It forces them to be profoundly present and actively listen. It mirrors the fluid, unpredictable nature of real conflict.
And you mentioned connecting back to the overall objective.
Yes, finally. Does this action, this choice, help or hurt your overall objective?
Guide them.
Connect this specific moment, this choice, this tactic, back to the bigger soul-level objective. Does it propel them closer to what they desperately need in life? Or does it actually push them further away? How does winning this battle shape their future tactics in the larger war?
Like, does getting what they want now compromise who they want to be?
Precisely. If their scene objective is to impress the CEO, but achieving it means lying and compromising their integrity, how does that choice impact their overall objective of, say, to live an authentic life? It creates that essential link in complexity. Look, these questions, they're not academic exercises. They relentlessly train an actor to think like a character in crisis, someone navigating imminent danger, profound urgency, devastating stakes, not like a performer trying to be impressive or emotional.
That shift is everything, isn't it? From performing to pursuing.
It is everything. It builds tension, generates unstoppable momentum, and imbues the moment with profound significance. Your actor stops chasing the perfect line reading. They start chasing the very thing their character cannot live without. And that's when the audience stops merely observing an actor and starts viscerally experiencing a life or death struggle unfolding in real time.
Okay, that covers the power of questions. What about giving notes? You mentioned bad notes versus expert guidance.
Yes, let's be very clear about notes. Bad notes, and we've all heard them, maybe even given them, like, can you cry here? Or just be more vulnerable. They're tragically aimed at the result. They offer no usable tool. They just pile on pressure without any clear tactics. The actor feels lost, maybe fakes it. It leads to self-consciousness or false emotion.
Right, asking for the end product without the process.
Exactly. Expert-style notes, however, sound completely different. They focus on the process, the doing. They sound like, okay, what would you do if they actually walked out that door right now? What precise tactic haven't you tried yet to stop them? See the difference? These notes focus unequivocally on doing, concrete action, clear intention, relentless urgency. They ignite the fight rather than just demanding a feeling.
So what should expert notes always do?
Your expert notes should always do three things. 1, reinforce the objective. Constantly remind the actor what their character is fighting for at that soul level. For example, Remember, you are desperately trying to get them to stay because losing them right now proves you're unlovable, just like your father always made you feel. This moment either confirms or challenges that core belief. You connect the present fight to the deep wound.
Makes it personal, urgent.
2. Clarify the tactic. Make them acutely aware of their behavioral choices, not just the emotional outcome. For instance, okay, you've bravely tried pleading and it's not landing. What happens if you try seduction instead? Use your charm, your physical presence. And if that fails, do you threaten them with that secret you know? Or maybe strategically retreat to regain power, make them pursue you. You're giving them actionable tools, options for the fight.
Offering strategies.
And 3, honor the emotional strategy. Validate their vulnerability, absolutely. The emotion is real, it's powerful, but always anchor it in concrete action. Like, your pain here is valid, it's palpable, it's true, but how do you use it as leverage instead of just collapsing underneath it? Can you transform that grief into manipulation? Can you weaponize your need, make them feel guilty for your suffering?
Turning feeling into force.
Precisely. When your notes live entirely within this framework, objective, tactic, action, the actor isn't confused, they're charged. It fundamentally shifts their mindset from passive emotional reaction to active emotional strategy. They have a clear direction, something specific to do, someone to ultimately win. And in that profound shift, you don't just get better performances, you build unbreakable trust. Your actors stop performing for you.
And start fighting with you.
Exactly. And that is the indelible difference between a moment that truly lives and a moment that irrevocably dies on screen.
That's truly invaluable advice. It really feels like having a master diagnostician for performance, turning theory into immediate practical problem solving right there in the room. It makes me wonder, though, what are the most common missteps directors actually make when working with objectives? And maybe more importantly, how can we spot them and instantly correct them in rehearsal?
Exactly. We need to move beyond theory into the practical dynamics of the rehearsal room. So let's look at these not as abstract errors, but as concrete examples to mini case studies, if you will. They offer a rapid way to diagnose weak choices on the spot and immediately redirect the work towards something powerful. Let's break down 4 common objective mistakes and, crucially, their expert-level fixes. Mistake 1. The objective is vague or purely emotional, like an actor saying their objective is simply to be sad.
Right. Focusing on the feeling again.
Precisely. Picture this. A scene where a mother discovers her child has run away. The actor, maybe untrained in this kind of depth, defaults to crying, generalized despair. The emotion is there, sure, but the performance feels passive, repetitive. There's no forward momentum. The scene partner has nothing to react to, really, and the energy just stagnates because the mother is simply being sad, not doing anything with that sadness. She's adrift.
So what's the fix?
Your immediate note, the fix, is this. Okay, instead of trying to simply feel sad, try this. Try making your partner admit it was their fault. Push them relentlessly. Make them take responsibility. Maybe you threaten to leave them. Maybe you viciously bring up a past betrayal. Do something with your pain. Use that grief as a weapon to make them confess or take the blame.
Redirecting the emotion into an action towards the other person.
And the result. It's profound. The moment is utterly transformed. It goes from passive suffering to active, volatile confrontation. The sadness isn't just decorative anymore. It becomes a sharpened edge, potent fuel for attack. The scene crackles with stakes now. Maybe the mother physically advances, eyes burning, voice laced with accusation. There's undeniable movement, danger. Emotion isn't removed. It's profoundly redirected into action. The audience leans in, not out of pity, but because they sense a war being waged. Mistake 2. The scene objective doesn't serve the overall arc.
Okay, so the immediate goal doesn't connect to the bigger picture.
Exactly. Imagine a character who jokes relentlessly during a breakup scene. On the surface, maybe the actor thinks they're playing coping or avoidance, but the humor just undercuts the tension. The scene feels tonally off, inconsistent. The partner is left bewildered. The actor's scene objective, maybe something like to lighten the mood, is completely at odds with their character's overall objective, which might be, say, to finally regain control of her life after this devastating relationship.
The humor feels random, unearned.
Right. So the fix, your immediate note is, okay, let's connect this. How does this humor right now propel you closer to what you truly want long-term in your life? Is this humor a fierce attempt to win them back, maybe by showing how little you care, manipulating them into jealousy? Or are you desperately trying to prove you've already moved on, that you're unbreakable, that they can't hurt you? What if this humor isn't just levity, but your very last line of defense? Use it. Use it to regain control, to strategically seduce, or maybe even to cunningly punish your partner for the pain they've caused.
So the humor becomes a tactic, serving the deeper need.
Instantly transformed, it becomes strategic, an emotional smokescreen, a desperate bid for dominance, or a tactic to diffuse unbearable tension while masking profound pain. The performance suddenly boasts incredible layering. The jokes carry subtext. The audience senses what's unspoken, hiding beneath the punchline. The character's deeper need, their overall objective, becomes crystal clear, and the moment gains immense psychological complexity. Mistake 3. The actor plays emotion instead of doing.
This sounds familiar, like the actor is feeling it, but nothing's happening externally.
Exactly. Picture an actor staring blankly out a window during a heated argument. They are, without question, feeling deeply, maybe sadness, resentment, fury. But the scene just grinds to a halt. The audience sees emotion, sure, but the energy flatlines. The scene partner has nothing tangible to react to. The emotional truth is there, undeniably, but it lacks direction. It's not being harnessed to do anything. The actor's just internalizing.
So how do you activate them?
The fix, your immediate note. Okay, I see the feeling. Now, what are you fiercely trying to get from them right now with that feeling? Are you trying to shame them into silence by looking away? Are you trying to win them back with sheer force of will by ignoring them? Are you trying to fundamentally change their mind? What happens if you suddenly turn around and confront them? Or maybe you use that turning away as a tactical maneuver, make them come to you.
Give the internal state an external purpose.
And the result. The actor immediately re-engages powerfully with their partner. Their emotion now fuels an external active pursuit. They make eye contact, they accuse, they manipulate, they use the silence as a weapon. Suddenly, the emotion gains a potent shape. It becomes a weapon or a desperate plea or a strategic withdrawal. Behavior returns, energy surges. The moment becomes dynamic, no longer just decorative. Mistake 4, the objective is intellectual or abstract.
Like something that sounds deep but it isn't playable.
Precisely. A student actor declares their character's objective is to be seen as valid. Okay, sounds meaningful, right? But it offers the actor no tangible, actionable way to behave. So as they perform, the result is vague, cerebral, intellectual. They speak with sincerity, maybe, but nothing perceptible changes in their behavior. The audience sees someone trying to be understood, but not actively doing anything to make that understanding happen. The concept is too abstract.
So you need to make it concrete, behavioral.
Exactly. The fix. Your immediate note. Okay, to be seen as valid, let's turn that abstract idea into something the audience can actually see. Instead of that, try to force them to explicitly say I'm right, or to get them to outright ask for my help, or to make them regret ever doubting me. See, these are physical, actionable, measurable goals. They can be pursued with the voice, with gesture, with timing, with concrete tactics. Show me the fight for validity. Don't just tell me you want it.
Makes it something they can actually play.
Instantly, the performance shifts dramatically. The actor might start interrupting more forcefully, asking sharper, more incisive questions, leaning in aggressively, or maybe strategically retreating to gain sympathy. They might cut off the scene partner to seize dominance, or use precise, almost pedantic language to demonstrate intellectual superiority. The audience now watches someone actively fighting to feel valid, not merely hoping to be. The abstract concept becomes visceral, tangible. The scene gains tension, a pulsing rhythm, a relentless pursuit. It's no longer about simply being understood. It's about winning understanding. And remember, these aren't just quick fixes. They are profound entry points into deeper, more collaborative work. They bridge that critical gap between raw emotion and concrete behavior, between an abstract idea and a powerful action. When an actor has a specific objective and a clear, actionable tactic, they stop guessing. They begin to fight, and you, the director, become their strategic commander in that fight.
That feels like a genuine masterclass in on-the-fly diagnosis and redirection. Really powerful stuff. So now that we've built that foundation and tackled some common pitfalls, maybe we can delve into some of the more nuanced scenarios where objectives become, as you said, a masterful director's true playground. This feels like where the real artistry comes in.
Indeed. Now we move into more complex territory, exploring how objectives interact within scenes and across a character's entire arc. This requires deeper psychological insight and more sophisticated directorial commands. First, let's grapple with conflicting objectives' power in opposition. Understand this fundamental truth. In almost every scene with more than one character, each person has a distinct objective. And when those objectives clash, when they are in direct, undeniable conflict, that's when the scene becomes explosive, combustible.
So it's not just about the protagonist's objective.
Absolutely not. Your lead might be fighting with every fiber of their being to be loved, but their scene partner, they might be fiercely battling to regain their independence or to assert their dominance, or maybe just to protect their wounded pride. The real emotional power of a scene often resides precisely in that collision of clashing opposing needs. It is never, ever sufficient to focus solely on the protagonist. You must direct the antagonist, and indeed every supporting character, with the same surgical clarity about their objectives.
Because the conflict drives the drama.
When objectives stand in direct opposition, the scene transforms into a profound battle of wills. And that, right there, is where the fire lives. That's where unpredictability, genuine surprise, and devastating revelation explode into being. The scene becomes a relentless push-pull, not just between the characters, but between their opposing emotional strategies. One character might wield guilt like a weapon, pushing.
That the other deflects.
Exactly. Maybe deflecting with cold, unyielding logic, trying desperately to maintain emotional distance. These stark contrasts don't cancel each other out, no. They generate the dynamic, volatile friction that propels dramatic storytelling forward with unstoppable force. So your directorial command in multi-character scenes becomes threefold. 1, identify every objective. You must nail down the scene objective for every character present, especially in busy ensemble scenes. Even the character who seems to be just listening or reacting has an objective. Maybe it's to go unnoticed, or to avoid taking sides, or to gather information. Their objectives shape the emotional truth and impact the central conflict, even subtly.
Everyone has a stake.
Everyone. 2, block for power shifts. Meticulously shape your pacing and blocking to vividly reflect every shift in power dynamics. Every tactical adjustment, every moment of surrender, every escalation, each must have a corresponding observable physical or spatial change. If one character's objective is to dominate the conversation, maybe they physically expand, move into the other's space, use commanding gestures. If their tactic gets shut down, maybe they shrink back or abruptly turn away to reset. Your camera coverage has to dance with this, 2 quick cuts as power shifts rapidly, or lingering on one character as they struggle to regain control.
The visual storytelling reflects the power play.
Always. And 3, analyze the clash. Relentlessly ask yourself, what does each person desperately need here, and how do their tactics profoundly clash? Be ruthlessly specific. How does what character A wants directly threaten what character B needs? Is one playing offense, the other desperate defense? Who adapts first? Who cracks under the pressure? This analysis is what creates genuine dramatic tension.
It's like choreographing a psychological duel.
It is. This layered approach makes scenes emotionally alive and structurally sound. Each character is a vital psychological piece. When you stage these opposing needs colliding, something explosive happens. The actors strategize, defend territory, recalibrate. The audience feels that live voltage. The more precisely the objectives clash, the more the scene pulses with authenticity, electrifying tension, and potent narrative drive. Conflict stops feeling fabricated. It feels utterly inevitable.
Can you give an example of that clash in action?
Certainly. Let's revisit that fraught custody scene, maybe set in a sterile lawyer's office to add pressure. Parent A's objective, to make Parent B feel sufficiently ashamed to concede custody. Their tactics, ruthlessly dredging up past failures, invoking poignant shared memories, leaning forward constantly, maintaining intense, unwavering eye contact. Parent B's objective, to maintain the upper hand without being dragged into an emotional spiral, to get Parent A to give up without a messy fight. Their tactics, cool logic, emotional detachment, precise legal language, sitting back, arms crossed perhaps, gaze steady, refusing to be drawn in.
A clear tactical battle.
Brutal tactical warfare. As a director, you'd meticulously block this. Parent A repeatedly tries to breach Parent B's personal space, maybe touching their arm, only to be met with a subtle physical block or that unblinking stare. The camera cuts between their faces, lingering on the micro-expressions, Parent A's desperate pleading versus Parent B's rigid control. The tension becomes visceral for the audience. They're watching a deep, personal war unfold in every calculated move and word. Next, let's dive into objective evolution pivots when tactics fail.
So characters don't always end a scene wanting the same thing they started with.
Rarely, in truly dynamic scenes. Characters, like real people under pressure, don't always conclude a scene with the same goal they began with. An objective can, and often does, evolve in real time, especially when stakes violently escalate, or a tactic dramatically fails, or an unexpected emotional revelation just shatters their composure. Now, this evolution isn't random chaos. It's the natural, inevitable outcome of relentless pursuit meeting crushing pressure. When people realize their initial strategy won't work, they must either adapt or collapse. There's no other option in a high-stakes situation.
And the director's job is to track that shift.
Meticulously track and shape it with exquisite precision. Help the actor pinpoint the exact trigger point. What fundamentally changed? Why did they pivot so drastically? What's the new target now? And how does it still, perhaps in some hidden way, relate to the deeper need they began with? When this kind of raw, transformative moment explodes mid-scene, well, that creates some of the most electrifying moments in performance. Moments that feel utterly spontaneous, undeniably human, and deeply viscerally earned.
What specifically should we be tracking as directors?
You need to relentlessly track 3 things. First, tactic failure. Identify the precise moment a tactic spectacularly fails, forcing the character to switch approaches. Did they try charming their way out, only to hit a wall of cold logic? Where is that shattering moment they realize charm is useless, forcing them to confront or demand or maybe even crumble? It's a gut punch, not just an idea. Second, the win as a loss. Observe when a perceived win brutally morphs into a deeper, more devastating loss. That moment of seduction achieves physical connection, but zero emotional intimacy, leaving the character feeling more alone than ever. What shifts the balance so profoundly that their victory feels hollow or actively harms their overall objective? Third, reversal in behavior. Scrutinize how these reversals affect their entire behavior, from deceptive calm to utter chaos, from a facade of strength to raw, exposed vulnerability. How does the energy shift in their body, voice, breath blocking when they lose control or are forced into a new strategy? Someone standing tall might suddenly slump. Someone quiet might explode.
And we should let the actor find this in the moment.
Encourage them to discover this pivot point through the raw experience of failure, not through intellectual explanation beforehand. Let them genuinely feel the breakdown of their strategy inside the scene. Let them hit the wall. That's the pulsing heartbeat of high-stakes acting. The character reaches a profound crossroads. Do I double down, radically change course, or just give in? That turning point is where the most revealing, unforgettable work emerges. You can't choreograph it perfectly. You meticulously set up the conditions for it to be found. It's not something to plan. It's something to chase, seize, and commit to in real time. Finally, let's consider macro arc camouflage, how core needs hide under new strategies.
So the deep need might stay the same, but how the character pursues it changes over the whole story.
Exactly. Characters evolve like real people. But those primal wounds, that deep fundamental ache from their overall objective, rarely disappear entirely. Instead, they mutate. They cunningly disguise themselves. They resurface under new, elaborate emotional masks. Often this happens precisely when their existing strategies start failing, or when pursuing the original need directly becomes too threatening to their identity.
Can you give an example?
Sure. A character who starts their story desperately needing love might, by the end, be aggressively pursuing power, or control, or status. Now, this isn't necessarily because their core need for love vanished. It's often because their survival instinct found a new, perhaps more insidious way to compensate for that same unhealed wound. Maybe power feels safer than vulnerable love. Their overt behaviors shift, their language hardens, their posture changes, their choices become colder, more manipulative. But underneath, that same primal fear or need continues to drive them, just in a different guise.
And that layering makes the character compelling.
Utterly compelling. The audience instinctively senses something deeper is at play. even if the character themselves is unaware. As the director, guiding your actor to grasp this internal evolution allows them to embed breathtaking complexity into every line, every look, every silence. The core wound remains. What evolves is how the character protects it, or maybe how they weaponize it, using their past pain as a tool for dominance, deflection, or even cold revenge. You must meticulously track that psychological armor as it builds and pay acute attention to the moments where it cracks, revealing the vulnerable core beneath.
So what questions help explore that?
Ask your actor. How does this core need this overall objective manifest differently at various points in the script? Track behavior, not just words. Is their humor suddenly a defensive shield? Is their ambition a cover for deep-seated rejection? How does the need for approval maybe morph into a need for control? Show me that shift in action. And when your character appears to abandon their original goal, is it truly gone or just hidden beneath a new tactic? Did they really stop trying to be loved, or are they now trying to punish others for never loving them, using power to inflict the pain they felt?
It's like tracing an invisible thread.
Exactly. Map it out across the acts. Use colors, symbols, whatever works. What starts as a need for approval might become a need to dominate, then shift to ruthless self-protection, then, in the climax, circle right back to that primal abandonment fear. When your actor consciously traces that thread, and when you shape it visually and behaviorally, the character's journey won't just feel complex, it will feel utterly, undeniably inevitable.
That's a truly powerful way to think about character arcs, digging into that psychological evolution.
This brings up something I know trips up directors sometimes, myself included, even seasoned ones. It's the distinction between an objective and a tactic. They often feel so intertwined in the moment. Clarifying that seems like it could unlock real power.
You are absolutely right. It's a common point of confusion precisely because in a fluid performance, they're often delivered seamlessly together. A character wants something objective and immediately employs a behavior tactic to get it. But separating them in your mind, understanding their distinct functions, is absolutely critical. It's the key to delivering truly useful notes and shaping purposeful, impactful behavior. Without that distinction, things get muddy fast.
Okay, so let's break it down clearly. Objective versus tactic. Right. The objective is simply what I want. It's the deep, driving need bubbling beneath the surface of the scene. The raw emotional truth the character is fighting to fulfill love, power, validation, safety, whatever it is. Remember, a potent objective is always active, profoundly specific, and emotionally urgent. It gives the actor something concrete to win or get from their scene partner. It's the destination.
Okay, what I want. And the tactic.
The tactic is how I try to get it. It's the specific behavioral strategy the character employs to pursue that objective. And tactics can shift rapidly moment to moment depending on whether they're succeeding or failing. Seduction, intimidation, guilt, deflection, humor, physical closeness, retreat, accusation, begging, charming, threatening, ignoring. These are all tactical choices.
The tools they use.
Exactly. The tools, the maneuvers. A truly skilled performance isn't defined by statically showing one emotion. It's defined by the dynamic, intelligent shifting of tactics in constant response to obstacles, relentlessly driving that pursuit forward. It's the vehicle and the driving maneuvers used to reach the destination.
And blurring them leads to problems.
Big problems. Notes become muddy. Be more seductive. Is that the objective or the tactic? Direction becomes imprecise. Blocking feels arbitrary, but the benefit of distinguishing them, every movement, every pause, every subtle shift becomes supercharged with undeniable intention. You know exactly why the character is doing what they're doing.
Can we use that earlier example? To get him to admit he needs me.
Perfect. Objective. To get him to admit he needs me, to break through his facade of independence. Tactic 1 could be seduction, using physical allure, soft voice, close proximity. If that fails, tactic 2 might be guilt. Subtly bringing up past favors, voice weighted with disappointment. If that fails, tactic 3 could escalate to threat. Revealing a secret, voice hardening, maybe physically asserting dominance, see? The objective stays constant within that beat, but the methods of attack change, like a general trying different strategies to take a city.
And actors who blur this get stuck.
They often get trapped in a repetitive loop, playing the same emotional color without progression or discovery. They mistakenly equate feeling the tactic, like feeling seductive, with actively doing the tactic, like using specific behaviors to seduce. The fix is simple. Offer clear, behavior-driven alternatives. Okay, the guilt isn't working. What's another way to try and get him to admit he needs you? Can you try disarming him with unexpected vulnerability instead? Can you use pointed humor to make him uncomfortable? By shifting the tactic while keeping the objective clear, you reignite urgency. You give the performance shape, variety, and profound psychological truth.
That makes sense. You mentioned an exercise.
Yes, a powerful rehearsal exercise. Try this. Ask your actor to perform the exact same scene, same dialogue, same objective, 3 distinct times. But each time, they must employ a completely different primary tactic. For instance, if the objective is to get my partner to admit they love me, take 1. Primary tactic is seduction. Physical touch, soft words, lingering looks. Take 2. Primary tactic is guilt, recounting sacrifices, maybe a tremor in the voice, withdrawing physically. Take 3. Primary tactic is silence withdrawal, forcing the other person to fill the void, creating uncomfortable stillness, maybe turning away.
And the director observes the differences.
Intently. Observe how each tactic fundamentally alters the scene's rhythm, its tone, the very power dynamic. Make precise notes. Which tactic felt most potent? Which best supported the character's core truth? Which advanced the narrative most effectively? Then debrief. Ask the actor, what felt most powerful and specific for your character? Which felt performative, like acting? Did any tactic genuinely surprise you, reveal something unexpected about the character or their capabilities?
It sounds like it trains the director as much as the actor.
It absolutely does. It relentlessly trains both of you to think strategically, not just emotionally. It builds immense versatility, deepens characterization, and actively prevents flat, repetitive, lifeless scenes. Over time, doing exercises like this sharpens your instinct for what truly drives behavior and what tragically stalls it.
That's a brilliant practical tool. Builds versatility and precision for everyone. Now, this brings up a really important practical question. We've gone deep into the power of these objectives, but let's face it, the reality on set is not every actor you encounter will have been formally trained in this exact philosophy, right? How do we make sure these powerful principles are still applied effectively, regardless of an actor's specific background or their preferred terminology?
That's a crucial question, because it is the reality. You will work with actors from many different backgrounds and training methods. But here's the key. That doesn't mean you abandon these foundational principles. Absolutely not. It means you, the director, must master the art of translation. You adapt your language to seamlessly fit their existing process, their vocabulary. Your core job remains constant. Meet the actor precisely where they are, understand their process, and then skillfully lead them toward clarity, toward powerful action, and toward undeniable psychological depth. The power lies in the underlying understanding, not the specific label you use.
So how does that translation look in practice?
Well, if your actor comes from a Stanislavski background, you can talk about objectives simply as what the character wants or their main goal or their task in the scene. If they're Meisner trained, you connect objectives directly to the other person's behavior. Frame it as, what are you trying to make them do? What reaction do you need from them right now? How are you trying to affect them? If they work purely from instinct, you make it even simpler, more visceral. Ask, what do you desperately need from them right now? Deep in your gut. Forget the words for a second. What must you get from them to feel okay?
The terminology doesn't matter as much as the function.
The function is everything. You are still unequivocally guiding them to identify a profound need, to pursue it with relentless urgency, to overcome obstacles, and to use emotion as a powerful tool, never as a static destination. That core function remains identical regardless of the words you use.
So we can find alternative phrasing?
Absolutely. Instead of saying overall objective, you could try prompts like, okay, big picture. What are you fundamentally fighting for in your life? What's the biggest missing piece you're trying to find? Or what's the primal wound from your past that this specific moment touches deep inside you? What's this fight really about underneath?
The first scene objective.
Instead of what's your scene objective, you can ask, okay, right here, right now, what do you need from them to survive this interaction, to feel okay for the next 5 minutes? Or more directly, what are you doing right now with everything you've got to try and get it?
But the key is still avoiding those result-based notes.
Always. Say miles away from notes like, feel more desperate, be angry, or look sadder. They just pressure the actor to produce an emotion on demand, which almost always leads to something inauthentic or forced. It lacks genuine human truth because it gives them nothing to do. Instead, relentlessly frame your direction around doing, not feeling. Let me give you a powerful example. Imagine that scene again. Character trying to stop a loved one leaving. Instead of weakly saying, feel more desperate, you say, okay, try to stop them leaving. Physically, emotionally, verbally, make them stay. Use absolutely everything you've got. Guilt them, seduce them, challenge them, beg if you have to, grab their arm, block the door physically. But do not, under any circumstances, let them walk out that door without a fight. Show me the fight to make them stay, with all the desperation that naturally comes with it.
That gives them so much more to work with. Active, relentless pursuit.
Exactly. It invites them to explore a multitude of tactics. It ignites the scene with undeniable urgency and raw danger. And the emotional truth, the desperation, it will inevitably follow. Not because you told them to feel it, but because they are actively, physically, desperately fighting for something they truly cannot afford to lose. The emotion becomes a consequence of their actions, not the aim itself.
So even if they don't know the terminology.
Even if they've never heard the terms overall objective or scene objective, your goal remains immutable. Root their performance in doing, not merely showing. You're not there to teach them a new acting system. You're there to embody this profound philosophy in the very way you direct. Translate objectives into urgency, tactics into undeniable action, emotions into profound consequences. Meet them in the language they know, Stanislavski, Meisner, pure instinct, whatever it is, but relentlessly drive them toward the same destination. A performance grounded in relentless pursuit, shaped by desperate need, driven by strategic intelligence.
Steering their existing system towards clarity and power.
You're skillfully steering their existing system toward clarity, monumental stakes, and undeniable power. Because powerful acting, understand this deeply, doesn't spring from just showing emotion. It arises from a profound emotional strategy. It comes from transforming a deep need into relentless pursuit, from harnessing raw pain into compelling pressure, from transmuting vulnerability into potent action. And you, as the director, can orchestrate that, whether or not your actors know the specific vocabulary. Your ultimate triumph is guiding them toward unshakable clarity, fierce urgency, and courageous choice. Because when emotion becomes a deliberate tactic, not just a spontaneous reaction, you ignite a performance with profound consequence. And that, right there, is precisely where great acting truly lives.
That's an incredibly powerful synthesis. It feels like we've journeyed right to the heart of what makes performance not just, good, but truly transformative.
Yeah.
So to bring this all full circle, what does this deep understanding really mean for us as directors? What kind of impact can focusing on objectives truly make on our actors and ultimately on our craft?
It means everything. Absolutely everything. When you, the director, commit fully, truly commit to directing with objectives, you bestow upon your actors a profound sense of purpose. Not just as characters inhabiting a fictional world, no, but as genuine strategists operating within the intricate emotional architecture of every single scene.
Moving them from performing to strategizing.
You definitely move them out of that static performance mode and you propel them into psychological combat, where every single line they utter becomes a potent tactic. Every movement they make becomes a deliberate bid for victory. You make your scenes do something tangible. They cease to merely feel something vague.
And emotion finds its purpose within that.
Emotion stops being just superfluous decoration. It transforms. It becomes a razor-sharp weapon, an alluring lure, an impenetrable shield, a brutal test. It gains shape. It gains urgency. It gains relentless direction. And that is the precise moment when performance transcends mere imitation and blossoms into undeniable transformation. That is the moment the audience stops passively observing and begins instead to viscerally experience the unfolding narrative. Because what's unfolding before them now isn't merely emotional, it is profoundly, agonizingly personal.
Wow.
As a director, mastering objectives is your essential blueprint. It's your key to creating performances that resonate deeply, that feel undeniably real, and that move an audience right to their core. It's truly the difference between just telling a story and letting a life unfold before our eyes. And that is true power.